It's a beautiful Saturday, and it's good to be back on your screens to give you nothing but the best in terms of football and where other sports are considered. And I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore, and I'm not alone on set. I'm joined by one Augustine, and we had to excuse one Uncle Rapson who is not with us because he's covering something away. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's always a pleasure to be here. We return all the glory and honor to the Most High God. We are here not by power, not by might. It's only by His grace. And football is in mourning the passing on of Pele, the great Edson Arantes de Nascimento. He was one of the greatest players who have ever graced the game of football. Passed on at the age of 83. And we would like to pass our heartfelt condolences to the football fraternity.
Not forgetting Brazil at large, huh?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You see, he was a very, very good player, and he wasn't one who was caught up in having said the wrong things. He was always careful with what he was saying. He wasn't very much into political issues. I think he was a very, very good guy, great for football. He's the one probably who made then jersey number 10 become an iconic jersey, because when he did very well at the age of 17, people now started liking the jersey number 10, and he will be remembered as one of the greatest to have ever played the game.
Anyway, like Augustine said, the football fraternity is mourning the loss of Pele, and like Augustine said, he made the jersey number 10 very, 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 very iconic, and I would say maybe the likes of Maradona now came through to make it more iconic, because it's something. But would you retire the jersey number 10 to honor Pele?
I think if you look at Brazil, the players that have won the number 10, I think there are a lot. Ronaldinho is one of them. He won the World Cup with them. Neymar hasn't won anything like a big thing like the World Cup, but he's won the Copa America with them. I think it will be very, very difficult to retire the number 10, because there are a lot of greats after him that have won that jersey, and before him there were greats that won that number 10. But he will be remembered as one of the greatest players ever. Winning 3 World Cups is not a joke.
Let's look at Neymar. Neymar I think he's on tie in terms of the national team goals with Pele. They're both at 77, if I'm not mistaken. How is it going to feel for Neymar once he surpasses that? Because we definitely know that he's going to surpass it.
Yeah, and immediately after the World Cup, the disappointment outing for Brazil at the World Cup, Neymar said he will continue playing for the national team. Probably set his sight on that record. He will be the greatest goal scorer in the history of the Brazil national team if he does that, and it will be very, very big to him. But Pele won 3 World Cups with his 77 goals, which probably will be the area where people will try and throw the argument to that Neymar didn't achieve what the great man had achieved. And on a lighter note, Enoch Mwepu appointed Brighton under 9 coach. I think that's a very, very huge step for Enoch Mwepu. He's only 24, so the next 6 years will be very, very vital in his career, and the next step that he's about to take. Now he's going into a different role whereby he is the big guy in the dressing room. He was surrounded by big boys, and then you've got the coach, but now he is the coach. He is tasked to groom players, because at the age of 9, when you miss it with in terms of polishing up players, making them better, it becomes very, very difficult. I think from this time, probably in the next 6, 5, 7 years, Mwepu will learn a lot about management, as he will be growing in the steps, and he will bring positive results to Zambia. This is very, very good. Brighton have identified Enoch Mwepu and what he can bring to the table, and they've kept him on. And he is a very, very intelligent boy. He's humble, and he's always smiling. So probably that he will translate that energy to these young boys so that they become better footballers in the near future, and he will bring that experience, that knowledge to Zambian football, and it will help us grow.
But before we get to look at the whole year in terms of what we've had, Augustine, within the course of this year, what should Zambian clubs learn from what Brighton have done? Because we've seen careers ending in terms of injuries, but let's look at them just coming through for Mwepu to say, okay, we still have a contract with you as a player, but you can't play anymore, but this is what we can do for you. But let's bring that into our own local clubs. So do they do such a thing?
Yeah, I think this is something which our local clubs will need to embrace, because what happens to a footballer's life after they hang up their boots, that's the biggest problem in Zambian football. I think we cannot even trace where these players are and what they're doing, but we can try, we should try by all means to try and get them involved, try and bring them up to speed with the runnings of Zambian football. Last weekend we had Clifford Mulenga. He spoke about that, how we need to try and involve players who have played the game at the highest level to try and get to help run these clubs. But if you look at the way these clubs are structured in Zambia, you find that probably a club is sponsored by a certain company, and the company who appoint people to put them in those executive positions, people who don't even know much about football, who don't know much about the game, and that brings lack of connection between the fans, the management, and the technical bench and the team. But once you bring someone with some football knowledge, someone who knows how to run the daily activities of football, what players need, what the fans are demanding, someone who has got that understanding, to try and get them involved in the game of football, to try and create that connectivity, it will help in the long run. And if you look at our current setup in Zambian football, we have been struggling in terms of head coaches. We keep recycling the same people. If we are to try and do the right things, go back to basics, try and involve most of players that played for these football clubs to try and improve developmental football, because our youth structures in the Zambian league setup, I think, are very, very poor. If we can engage players that have played the game at the highest level to try and better our grassroots football, it will be very, very important going forward, because not everyone will be a head coach for a senior team, but you can have people in your backroom staff who understand the game, who can teach boys into becoming better footballers.
Anyway, all the best one Enoch Mwepu as he takes up the mantle of coaching the under-9s, and like Augustine said, this is a stage in which once you miss it, then your career, maybe for me, is in shambles. Because it's the same as we say mostly. I would just give an example of school. Once you play much during your baby class, for some of us that started grade 1 anyway, and we appreciate the teachers that taught us in grade 1 for us to have achieved what we've achieved today. If it wasn't for them, it was going to be something else. But for now, we'll just take a very short break as we get back and look at some of the highlights of this year as we come to the end of the year. For now, we'll take a very short break.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet Channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
For all you've done, we give you all the praise. Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Camnet Stars Football Club, popularly known as the local national team, is inviting all skillfully gifted, talented and creative soccer players from across Zambia. Ages between 16 and 20 must come, train and join the club. The category of these gifted footballers have the chance to go and market their talent in Europe and USA through Camnet Stars Football Club, a team formed with a vision to produce quality international players. Please do not miss this brief open opportunity given to you. Camnet Stars Football Club could be your gateway to your international soccer career. Venue, Kablonga Boys Secondary School grounds. Date 12th December 2022 to 21st January 2023. Time 09 hours to 11 hours. Your time to shine is now.
There we have it. We've been joined by one Julius who has been away for a couple of months. I don't know where he went, but now since Arsenal are doing fine, he's back.
What do you mean you don't know where I mean, I went into prayer and fasting for Arsenal. That's the reason why actually I've been doing well, because it's just not physical. It's something spiritual almost, you know. So we went into fasting as Arsenal fans, and I think you're able to see the fruits. God has been faithful, and soon I may go back into fasting so that we get the league. But for now I'm back. And I'm hoping that I also get into fasting for one of the local teams that I do support. I'm not going to tell the people which teams.
I think the biggest point is that you have been in hiding because of that local team.
No, I've been hiding because of this.
One thing Uncle Robson and Julius have in common, whenever that team is doing bad, they go into hiding. Karo Warriors was in shambles. They only won 2 games, is it in 17? And he went into hiding because they're doing so bad. Uncle Robson has gone into hiding because a certain team from Kitwe is the giant. There's a certain Kitwe, a certain team from Kitwe.
What about the
giants? They're the giant. They are current giants of Kitwe. They wear yellow, and Uncle Robson's team is now second best in Kitwe. That's why he's in hiding.
Uncle Robson, I know you are.
For me, I distance myself from that. The reason why I went into hiding, Amos knows better, is because one of the teams that's topping in the Premier League is doing extremely well, and because of the prayer that we've been praying as supporters.
You brought in Chicken George Londamina. You are very, very happy as Karo Warriors. What went wrong?
But is it Amos, is it how you're going to welcome me after
No.
And then you want to attack me anyway?
No, Julius.
We are talking. We're still going to talk about what's happening at Karo.
Exactly.
And we're also going to talk about what's happening with all the big teams in the Copa Belt. And we're also going to talk about the defending champions. We don't know if they're going to defend as far as the Zambian Super League is concerned. So don't just attack certain teams. But also bring out certain teams that we don't see defending the title.
I'm wearing the Absa champions. Napsa Stars.
But I think it would have been better you to welcome me and say, Julius, we're happy to see you.
We're happy to see you.
It's very good to see you back, Julius, on set, and hopefully you won't go for good again.
No, I'm back home now. I'm inside in the house. I'm back home.
But like we said earlier before we went on a break, we said we're going to take a look at some of the ups and downs in terms of what happened this year, because today it's the last year it's the last day, of 2022, as we kickstart 2023 tomorrow. But Augustine and Julius, let's take a look at how our national team, that's our men's national team, has fared this year.
I think it's been very, very poor for the senior national soccer team. If you look at the expectation that we had at the start of the year with Kenny Rogers, what's his name? Kenny Rogers being Ayosia Sanovic, head coach of Zambia. I think this is probably one of the shortest stints we've ever had for a permanent coach. He started as Chipolopolo head coach. He had the task to qualify Zambia to the Africa Cup of Nations and qualify Zambia to the CHAN tournament and probably progress in the COSAFA and win it, which he managed to do. He managed to win us the COSAFA title, which probably showed that we do have unpolished diamonds in the country. The likes of Joshua Mutale showed up in that tournament. They played very, very well. Albert Kangwanda showed up in the tournament, played very well, which ended him a move to Croatia. And if you look at Ayosia Sanovic's time at the helm of the Chipolopolo boys, he went to Ivory Coast and got beat by 3-1. That was one game which exposed the weakness of Chipolopolo. We were all over the place defensively, in possession. We couldn't do very, very well. And coming to the game against the game we played at home was against Comoros. Yeah, it was a game where we went and conceded an early goal. Schoolboy mistakes by our defenders and our goalkeeper, lack of better communication. Then from that point, we had something had to lift the team up, and it was the fans that had to lift the team up, and we got an equalizer, and it had to take individual brilliance from Cleans Kangwa to win the game for Chipolopolo. But you could see in that game we were struggling, we are not in total control, and going into the COSAFA, we were going in as favorites because we have been dominating football at this side of the continent, and we had exciting players. Red Arrows were just fresh from winning the league. They were the likes of Ricky Banda. He was the leading scorer. They had Yusuf Saddam, Benedict Chepeshi, Alan Kapila, who were present at that tournament. We started against Botswana, where we played some good football, and then in the semi-finals we were found out when Mwenya Chiwe conceded goals that he shouldn't have been conceding at that big level. Then he was dropped. We brought in Charles Kalumba for the final. He did very well, and we went on and to win the COSAFA Cup. A week later, Zambia traveled to Maputo to play Mozambique for the CHAN, for a place at the CHAN. We went to Mozambique, got a goalless draw, and everyone in Zambia thought now this is in our hands, because the game was now going to be played at the National Hero Stadium after a very, very good result away in Maputo. We came to Hero Stadium and we were struggling like no man's business. It's one of the worst games I've ever seen the Copper Bullets play at home. And Mozambique with King Lau, the young King Lau, very brilliant striker. He's destined for greatness. He came from the bench and won the winner, scored the winner for Mozambique. Zambia eliminated immediately after the press briefing. We went for a press briefing, and Ayose Hasanovic was fighting back. You could see that this man is fighting back. Instead of him coming out to apologize for letting the nation down, he started talking about the COSAFA. We don't care about that. Any Zambian coach, even Albert Change, goes and wins the COSAFA. We wanted you to qualify these local players to the CHAN because it gives them a better platform to improve and get better. It's a high level tournament, but we were very, very disappointing. We got eliminated, and now Ayose has left his position. He's no longer the Chipolopolo boys coach. Moses Sichon had a couple of friendlies. Probably the bright sparks that we get from the friendlies is probably the young players featuring like young Miguel Chaiwa, who is to be one of the biggest assets to have come out from Zambia. He will be one of the greatest midfielders in a few years' time. And looking back now, we have appointed Avram Grants. Has it been a very, very good year for the senior national soccer team? No, I don't think so. It's been very, very average, and we need to improve in 2023.
Julius.
Well, Augustine has done a breakdown very well, but then for me, my concentration, Amos, is on some of the players that are summoned to come and play for the national team. I think their attitude, some of them, I'm not going to mention names, but their attitude has really been pathetic and terrible, to say the least. When you're playing for the national team, it's something that you should carry with your heart, because I mean you are representing the country at large. You're not representing a club. You're representing the more than 9 million Zambian people. That's the more reason why count it a blessing when the coach involves you to be part and parcel of that team that's going to represent the country. We've seen some of the players, they are summoned to come and play for the national team on 2-3 occasions. They would not come. They would give their own excuses, which doesn't even really make sense. So I think next year, as we get into the 2023, when you're called upon, I think it's important to fulfill the call up by the coach and be able to come and represent. Because obviously, when the coach summons you to come and play, they believe and they have hope that you can do better. And also, I think something that's important is looking at also how the player is performing. I think it's high time that we shouldn't be calling players because of the relationship that you have with the coach, but get a player best on merit. Look at how they're performing at their clubs. We saw some players that were left out when they were actually doing extremely well at their respective clubs. So I think the new coach, Grant, has a lot of work to do in as far as identifying players. He has come here, obviously he's going to start building a team, because he doesn't know most of these players. Obviously it's about building a team. But one thing that I wanted to bring out also, Amos, something that Augustine did say, and I did say this, I think one time I was on one of the platforms. In Zambia, when you win the COSAFA, you haven't won anything. That's the truth of the matter. When you don't win the COSAFA, you can even be fired for that. And I remember when Ayose Hasanovic was going to South Africa to participate in that COSAFA tournament, I actually said that if you win the COSAFA, do not expect people to appreciate you very much, all right? But if you're going to lose the COSAFA, trust me, people will begin to attack you. And already I've heard it from my brother here, you see, and that's how just Zambians are. Obviously, they'll attack you. Even though you win, to them the COSAFA is nothing. But lose it, you are in problems. But anyway, at the end of the day, Zambia have now been crowned COSAFA champions for the 60th time now. It's like we keep doing well in the COSAFA tournament compared to other tournaments. Yes, we appreciate them bringing the title for the 60th time home, but also we're looking forward to them now qualifying to the Africa Cup of Nations, because they haven't qualified to the Africa Cup of Nations for 3 times in a row now. We've missed in 3 editions. I think it's high time that this time around the new coach has come. He's got a big challenge ahead of him, and he has to make sure that he helps the team qualify to the Africa Cup of Nations. Obviously, there's been so much that has happened. If we're going to talk about the recruitment of a coach, Amos, obviously people had their own names that they wanted to see being unveiled as national team coach. Anyway, the decision has already been made. But for now, we wait and see how the new coach is going to perform. But overall, the team hasn't really done well, like Augustine did say. We played quite a number of friendly games. We did play a friendly game against Iraq. We lost 3-1. We played a friendly game against Benin. We lost 2-1. We played another friendly against Congo. We managed to win in that game. We did play again friendly against Israel, and we couldn't pick maximum points in both games. And
we had the couple with Mali.
We had also friendlies with Mali. And for me, look at how Moses Sichone did perform with the team. I think he wasn't so bad. What we just needed was maybe just to give him a little bit of time. Of course, yes, he hasn't had experience with the national team. Obviously, for you to coach a national team, you need to have experience as far as the national team is concerned, because I think that's a big task we're talking about. So really, in as far as performance, I think we've been pathetic, and hoping that in the year 2023, as we enter the new year, we hope that the national team will enter with new ideas and also new strategies on how best we can win games, collect maximum points, and also be able to do better. Remember that we have back-to-back games that will be played in March. We're up against Lesotho, both home and away. We have to play Comoros away, and we have to play Ivory Coast at home. Already Ivory Coast beat us away, I think 3-1. Comoros, we beat them at home. So this time around, we need to make sure that we beat Comoros away, and also we beat Ivory Coast at home. But the question is, maybe Augustine, our question is, are we able to beat, looking at the squad that we have, looking at the new coach that has come, are we able to beat? Obviously, we have to wait and see how the boys are going to perform in those games, because I don't want to judge them really. I have hope in them. I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt. I know that they can do wonders. They can cause an upset. Look at the World Cup. Look at what happened with the World Cup. Who thought that Argentina would lose to Saudi Arabia? We actually thought that when they lost, we actually thought we were not even going to make it to the final. But look at what happened. Football being what it is, Argentina were crowned champion. So obviously, football being what it is, I know that Zambia can upset any team. It's possible that we can beat Ivory Coast. We have beaten them before. So if we've beaten them before, it's very much possible that we can beat them. But overall, looking at the performance, they haven't really done well, and we're hoping that come next year we should be able to improve and do far much better than we did. We're looking forward to seeing them back to the Chipolopolo boys. That the country has always known. You know, we miss the days of going to the stadium and you sing, yeah, Chipolopolo. We cannot be singing that because we keep being disappointed. But obviously, we look forward to the national team doing far much better than they've done.
I think I'll ride on what you said last week, Augustine, when you were on set with Clifford and Chaz. And you mentioned something to say, the team we have, but on paper.
Yeah.
And Chaz again raised a very, very important point where he said, we need to give these coaches a certain period of time. So let's just take a quick one, Augustine, in terms of how long should we give Avram Grant?
I think looking at...
he fail to qualify us, and then we start judging, and then we say, okay, let's fire and appoint. Let's fire and appoint. Is this the way it's going to be?
I think what we need to do is there need to be proper planning on the clear roadmap of which path are we taking as a country. Because what I see from the outside is that each coach that comes in, there's always a project which is in place. But the project, is it the same project which the players understand that this is the project that we are on, or is it just the Football Association of Zambia and the coach who understand the project? I think we need to make the players understand the project that's been undertaken. And if you look at the current crop of players that we have, we've got good players on paper. When you look at it, every coach could dream of coaching these boys. But when we go into the field of play, we do not have a unit. We do not have people who are playing together and have an understanding. We are always looking like a side that's lost. Avram Grant probably would need 3 years to try and come up with a formidable side that will challenge and compete at the highest level. We do not want just to qualify to Africa Cup of Nations. We want to go there and compete. You just don't have to go and make numbers. Now what do we need to do as a country to try and move forward in terms of this current crop of players that we have? One is defensively. We have been all over the place. We are very, very poor defensively. We need to try and improve on that. especially in transition when we lose the ball. That's when we are found wanting. That's when we are caught napping. Set pieces we haven't improved, either attacking or defending those set pieces. It's a worry. And Avram Grant is an experienced coach. He will bring detail to game, and probably he will improve in that aspect. And the other area that we need to improve on is, a lot of people haven't been talking about it, but it's something which is evident with this current Chipolopolo boys, that our attacking players have failed to shine. Let's just be honest. When did we see our attacking players dominate a football game? I don't remember. So we need to try and have these attack-minded players control games of high magnitude. They need to try and show that they have got the quality and they've got the capacity. Probably some of them are doing very, very well for their clubs, but when it comes to the national team, it's a different ball game. We need players now to try and step up and take responsibility. Players like Fashion Sakala, they need to do more. They need to do better. They are no longer young players in the group. They are probably the senior ones. Patson Daka, likewise. I do not remember when Patson Daka really had a very, very good run for the national team. I think he needs to step up his game. He needs to take responsibility. Cleans Kangwa, this is when he's just been introduced to the national team. This is one thing we shouldn't forget. Cleans is very, very new to this squad. And he's had games where he turns up, some games he goes missing, but he's a very, very good performer. He's very, very consistent, especially when he starts games. You saw he's consistent in games and in between games. And would like to see him now take up that mantle of being the guy who will be who will carry and fetch for the team, because we no longer have Enoch Mwepu. That's an area of concern. The coach will need to address that. We need to have a leader in that team. Enoch was our leader. We need now to have a leader who will lead this team going forward. This is something which has to be worked on going forward. If Avram Grant has to be successful. And we've seen the coming in of Aimee Mabika and Franklin Musonda. Probably if we can get Jadeo Katongo from Man City, he will be a very, very good addition to that team. Holding on, it's an area where we need to work on. Avram Grant is an experienced coach. Holding midfielder, we need to identify and try and make a very, very good holding midfielder. You remember when Heverena came to Zambia in 2008, was it 2007, 2008? He identified that was an area probably where we struggled as a country. What did he do? He converted a Thomas Nyerenda from right back into a holding midfielder. We went to the Africa Cup in Angola 2010, and we did very, very well. We only lost out on penalty shootouts. In 2012, he got a Nathan Sinkala. Not a lot of people expected Nathan Sinkala to be part of that team, not just to be playing, but to be part of that 23-man squad. But Nathan Sinkala was there, and he did very, very well. This is what we need to try and identify. Let's identify our spine. If we cannot do that, we'll keep on struggling and keep on changing coaches. The next coach will need to have authority in that dressing room, be the leader, have a spine which is recognized, and results will come.
Julius, let's look at the competition that the men's national team are getting from the Chipolopolo. We can't shy away that this year has been one of the awesome years for the Chipolopolo, Augustine, them qualifying to the Women's World Cup and being grouped in Group C alongside Spain, Japan, and Costa Rica. But overall, Julius, going forward, are we seeing the Chipolopolo achieving more than this?
That's an automatic here. I mean, if you doubt the Copper Queens, then obviously you just don't understand football. Then obviously you need to retire and begin to watch anything, maybe rugby or something. Because I mean, look at how they've performed. Fantastic performance from the Copper Queens. Actually, the trio of the Green Buffaloes women's team has actually found themselves in Europe. It all started with the Copper Queens. Right? So really, for me, they've been superb. They've performed extremely well. Like I earlier said, one thing we can brag about as Zambia is we have swept all the COSAFA titles in all categories this year, Augustine. We have swept. Honestly, we have swept all of them.
An achievement, huh?
Yeah, it is an achievement because we have swept all of them as a country, Zambia. So that's something to brag about. The women also were crowned champions in their category, and also something that brought a lot of controversy is during the WAFCON. You know, when we played South Africa in the final.
Yeah.
Look at controversy in that game. people actually thought the Copa Queens deserved that win, because I mean, the girls played their hearts out. They really played far much better than South Africa, but obviously football being what it is, we ended up losing that game. That's even the reason why when we met them in the COSAFA, we had to make sure that we beat and show them
that we deserved that. Huh?
Exactly. Now that they've qualified to the World Cup that will be taking place in Australia, New Zealand, really that's a big achievement. That's something that we have to really be happy and proud about, because look at even the people that have come on board to sponsor the Copa Queens. A few months ago, we saw Toyota Zambia donating a vehicle to the Copa Queens. So we've seen much. DSTV coming on board, motivating the girls, and that's what we want. I think the girls need to be motivated more, because trust me, look at where the girls are coming from. Augustine Obemi Williams, look at the background of where these girls are coming from. These girls used to get even as low as 50 kwacha per month. That's an allowance. This gives girls her families that they take care of. Now, if you give them a 50 kwacha, where are they going to? Where is that 50 kwacha going to take them? How are they going to take care of their families? So now that we have seen things keep improving, look at the allowances that they got from the WAFCON. Look at the allowances that they got from the COSAFA. So really, I think we're headed in the right direction, and I think there should be more that should be done in as far as women's football is concerned. Women's football is one of the leagues that has been abandoned, and I think it's high time that the association and other stakeholders should really take it seriously come next year and be able to find proper sponsors for the women's league, because it all starts from there. Now look at, because of the Copa Queens performance, because of what the girls have been doing, they've now found themselves playing for even better teams. We have Rachel Nachula, we have Grace Chanda, we have my favorite from Red Arrows, the defender we have. Margaret Belemu, the likes of Margaret Belemu. So all those players are all coming from the Copa Queens, and look at where they are. They keep making the country proud. So we are proud of them. A few months ago, we played Colombia in an international friendly for me, which is a very good preparatory game, because I mean, we are going to be meeting a South American side in the group that we are in. So it's good that we first them said we know what kind of team we're going to be facing at the World Cup. Trust me, there are better teams there. We have teams like Spain. I have watched Spain play football. They are brilliant. I've watched also other teams. We've met Netherlands before as well. So really, I think the Copa Queens are also slowly shaping up and getting ready for the tournament. And I think it's important before they get to they go to participate in that tournament. FAS should keep on organizing these friendly games so that the girls should just keep themselves acquainted to the kind of teams that will be meeting at the World Cup, and then also keep getting ready for the big showpiece. I can assure you that it's possible that our Copa Queens, looking at the way they play, with the likes of Barbara Banda, Rachel Kundananji, we are able to cause an upset at the World Cup. There's nothing that's impossible. Trust me, if only we can play as a unit and believe in ourselves that girls, we can do this. I think the only thing that really pushes us off not to really do extremely well is because we are intimidated when you look at the names. You know, you're looking at Brazil, you're looking at Netherlands. You see, these are big teams, and can we make it? I mean, they have qualified the World Cup. We have also qualified the World Cup. If we have qualified, it means we are the champions. Where are we coming from? So let's go there and show them what Zambia has. And it's high time that this time around the world should know the Copa Queens. Already they've known the Copa Queens. They know what Barbara Banda is capable of doing. So trust me, if we were to compare the national team, of which it's not right to compare, but if we were to compare the national team and the Copa Queens, I think the Copa Queens have done much than the men. They've actually done us proud compared to the men. So really, if we have to find consolation as far as football is concerned, really we will get the consolation from the Copa Queens, the women folks, compared to the men folks. And I think it's important that the men should learn something as well from the women. It's possible that the national team can learn something. So it's important that they should also learn something from the Copa Queens. But otherwise, super proud of the Copa Queens, super proud of Coach Bruce Mape and the technical bench for what they've done, and we hope that they're going to make us proud at the World Cup come next year.
Augustine, Group C, the Spain, Japan, and Costa Rica, and Zambia. Just a quick one. Do you see us progressing to the group stages?
It's going to be very, very tough. If you look at Costa Rica, they're a very, very good footballing team, and Japan, it's going to be a tricky group, but as long as we go there with the positive attitude, the right mindset. Even previously when when the Africa Cup draws were done, we had Togo, Tunisia, and Cameroon. It looked very, very difficult because having in mind that Cameroon always beat us, they're a very, very strong side. But what you get from Bruce Mwape's team is that they just do the opposite of what the men don't do. They are united, they have got a team, and you can see that they play to their strength and they always complement each other's weaknesses. You can see that when they play the Copper Queens. One thing you notice is that Margaret Bulemu is not good defending 1v1 situations, so they always cover her whenever she's in such situations. But on the other side, Martha Tembo is very, very good in defending 1v1. She always wins the tackle, she wins the first ball. And what we get is that every time when we are in attack, since Martha doesn't have the attributes Bulemu has going forward, we let Bulemu have all the license to go forward. Bulemu will attack and Martha will just tuck in closer to Agnes Musesa and Lushomo Mwemba, so that whenever there is an attack, they will know how to nullify it, and Bulemu will go forward, give us the width, and attack from there. Bruce Mwape has built a side which is very, very recognizable. Even the way they play, you could see what they're trying to do. And this hasn't happened overnight. He has been given time to build this squad. And probably this squad started probably way back in 2014 when these girls had qualified for the Under-17 World Cup. So it won't be the first time for many of them going to play at the biggest stage of world football. They've been to the Olympics, they've been to the World Cup. Now they are going to the biggest World Cup. They've been Under-17 World Cup. This is now the Senior World Cup. The best of the best in the world now meet, and you have to show how good you are. 5 years ago, we never had professional female footballers. Fast forward now, we have more than 10 players playing abroad. So it shows you the steps that we have taken as Zambia in terms of women's football. When we go back to the tournament last the Africa Cup of Nations, we never had Barbara Banda. There were a lot of worries across the country. How are we going to perform without our talisman in Barbara Banda? And Grace took up the mantle. She took the team by her. She carried the team on her shoulders. She was very there in thick and thin. She was fighting battles for the team. Ochumba Oseke, one player who is probably an unsung hero. She did their job. She would always be our attacking outlet because she's big. She's strong. The Giroud of France. Yeah, she would always hold up the ball very well, link up play with our midfielders. And Bruce Mwape is one coach who never gets a lot of credit. He's always been criticized. Yeah, but you can see from this tournament, tactically, he was very, very smart. Without the ball, there was a lot of organization. We would either press teams or drop off. The girls were very, very well drilled on that. And when we were attacking, we sent numbers forward. Evelyn Susan Katongo, who would have thought a young girl like Evelyn Susan Katongo would go to a big, big tournament like the Africa Cup and dominate? She was probably one of the stars of the tournament, together with Irene Lungu in central midfield. And we translated that, we went to the COSAFA Cup, and we just had to dominate COSAFA because of what we had done at the Africa Cup of Nations. And credit to the Shipolo Polo, we went and won the COSAFA. GBFC, half of the team, they play for the Shipolo Polo. They went again and dominated the region again, won the COSAFA. And unfortunately, when they went to play continental football, it wasn't very, very good for them. But there are a lot of positives that you can pick as we go to the World Cup and believe that we have got what it takes to go the way. Now we have got Barbara Banda. She will be coming back to the team. Rachel Nachula, Rachel Kundananji. These are firepowers, and they give the coach a lot of options to try and change the game.
And a comment from Ango Rapson here. It's been a great 2022 with regards to women's football. 2023, the women will make a mark at the World Cup. We have exported enough women into Europe and Asia, and they will compete very highly. But for me, at some point, I look at an unsung hero who is Musesa. Mostly
Agnes Musesa, very, very strong defender, alongside Lushomo Mwemba. They form a very, very good partnership. It's similar to 2012. Remember Stopera Sunzu, Hijani Monde. The praise was always on Stopera Sunzu, but Hijani Monde did the job for the team. Same applies to Agnes Musesa. Yeah, Agnes Musesa, she's been very, very good and very, very solid. Even in the games when we went to Colombia, unfortunately, Martha lost her mother, and Lushomo had to accompany her. Agnes Musesa went and stood up for the team. We only conceded 2 goals, one each, 1 goal in each game. And you could see she's a very, very mature player. She knows how to organize the team. And we must say there have been a lot of highlights this year for the Chipolo Polo. If we look on the flip side, the low moments probably was the game against South Africa when the officiating was very, very poor at the highest level. I think I felt for the girls. They gave it their all, but we had to be robbed in such a way. I think even in South Africa, there was the Sundowns coach who said there is no way we could be celebrating this kind of victory. We have robbed Zambia, because it was clear the girls gave it everything and they looked like they were destined to go and win the title. After losing third and in the semi-finals, they didn't drop their head. They went again in the third and fourth against a mighty Nigeria and won bronze, which is very, very good for the girls, and credit to them. They did very well. They have had a lot of highlights this season. The Copper Bullets, the highlights probably were winning the COSAFA, the only highlight we have with the men's soccer team. And there have been a lot of dark moments, especially the darkest moments. I must say personally, 2022 was Enoch Mwepu announcing his retirement from football. I think I've never seen a dark day like that in Zambian football, where everyone, 19 million people, felt what Enoch Mwepu was feeling. They were with Enoch Mwepu. The country united. For once, we forgot about football politics, which what do they call them? Which party or what?
Which separates us? We belong to which camp?
The camp, yeah.
Separating the two camps.
Yes, the two camps came together. We all sympathize with Enoch. Yeah. Enoch was in the prayers of every Zambian, and it was the darkest moments, because even
those that don't know God, they do.
Exactly.
We should appreciate Enoch Mwepu. Exactly. Some people gave their lives because of Enoch Mwepu. So he was a man of God in some way.
So if you look at it from a general perspective, we've seen players like Fabrice Mwamba collapse with cardiac arrest. I didn't know that it felt that bad, and up until the moment it happened to Enoch Mwepu, you could feel it. I think for a month or so it was just dark cloud in Zambian football, and good credit to the clubs, the support they showed him, the football fans. I think it was the darkest moment in 2022.
Let's just switch our attention now to take a look at how the table looks like. That's the first league table, to see how far it's gone before we kickstart the second. Augustine, that's how the log table looks like. Julius, you are trying to zoom where I don't know.
They're second last.
And so this table is courtesy of one Bwezani Mbewe, who graces us with such an awesome table most of the times, and we just pick it from there. Bwezani, we really appreciate. So that's how the table looks like, and Red Arrows, the defending champions, are there standing fourth with and Julius was the defending champion. They're going to defend. But let's look at Power Dynamos Augustine.
Yeah, very, very impressive.
Avayelo.
Very, very impressive. Avayelo under Munyash people this season, they've started very, very strong. Only losing 2 games, winning 10, drawing 5. They've forced 23 goals and allowed 7. Their defense is solid. Going forward, they have found the goals, because that's one area where Power Dynamos struggled last season. They were struggling to get the goals, but they've been doing very, very well. I think if you look at that table, the surprise package, surely FC Muza. I think nobody expected FC Muza to be doing this well.
Yeah, this
in the league. Even at the start of last season, not just this season, they were not one of the favorites to qualify to win promotion from the National League, but they won promotion. I think Keith Mwemba has done a brilliant job. Masao Sotembo brought them up, and then he left them for GBFC. Then they brought in a young coach in Lamek Banda, who has been doing very, very well for FC Muza, and they have been very, very impressive. They've got a youthful side. Andrew Piri, probably one of the most promising young talents to be coming out from Southern Province. I think he's one lad who will go places if he just remains grounded. He just plays his football. Andrew Piri is a very, very good, and credit to Muza. They've entertained us in the first half of the season. I just hope they just do enough to stay up this season, because second round always tricky because every point counts. And now this is now when the big boys wake up. The big boys like our Warriors who are in the relegation zone, they start realizing that this is danger. The big boys like Nkana, the reason why corruption is not coming on set because they are closer to that relegation zone. The big boys will start waking up. You have got Ngwazi who are always in the relegation waters, but come the end of the season, they always find their way out of that. Teams like Red Arrows, Power Dynamos, Forest Rangers will now start smelling glory coming near because as the game goes, you start thinking, oh, we now just might win the league title. Green Buffaloes, they have been missing from continental football. They will sense that. So it becomes tricky in the second half of the season, and we just hope to see better football and to see teams progress that they have been doing in the first round. Kansanshi have been one of the slow starters to the season, but they've picked up pace. They have been decent. Zanaco under Emmanuel Amunike, they will be a force to reckon with come the second round because I've seen them play this season. When Amunike came through, you can see the difference. They were not winning games, but they were not losing. So they were getting draws, they are staying in games. They won the odd games, but come next second round, probably when he brings the players he feels he needs to bring in Zanaco might just be a force.
Let's just take a look at the national division table so that we tend to see how it's faring before. So Julius, I'll leave this one.
I had a comment on the Super League.
Okay, you can. Let's
before we get to the international division. Amos, who quickly knew that the powerful Power Dynamos would beat the defending champions 4-1? I mean,
and it was shocking, huh?
Yeah, let's not ignore such results. I think let's proudly talk about them. Yeah, the defending champions were beaten. That shows you that Power Dynamos is doing extremely well this season. Look at how much the sponsors have pumped in.
Yeah.
That shows you already that there's motivation. Look at Kennedy Musonda. How many goals has he scored? He's a top scorer that we have at the moment in the Super League. And if not handled carefully, trust me, Power Dynamos may be crowned champions of the 2022.
They've already started that Fimbopok.
2022. I mean, they have the right to do that because they've been doing well. Kaba, he did talk about Chicken George Rwanda coming to Kaba Warriors. Some fans actually did not even approve that decision. People didn't want Chicken George Rwanda. I mean, he's now growing old, and you know, the older somebody becomes, the lesser ideas they begin to have.
Yeah, true.
It all just remains with experience at the end of the day. Look at how the new breed of coaches that has come up, the likes of Manyachi people, the likes of Ian Bakala, Perry Mutapa, George Rwanda was even losing to these that you can call his students. Already that shows you that football is evolving and football keeps changing. Now that they've gotten rid of George.
Let's look at the barter system. Let's look at the barter system that happened.
That's what I'm getting to now. He's now left Cabo Warriors and decided to go to
Zesco United.
After leaving Cabo Warriors in a mess. Then he decides now to leave and go to Zesco United. Zesco United also have been struggling a little bit. They had Coach Numba Mamba, who when he went there, they won their 9th title. The second time they were number 2 in the league. This time around now they have not been doing well according to them, all because they were eliminated in the first round from the Confederations tournament. They decide to part ways with him. George Chicken comes back. For me, I feel I think he's grown old. One thing, one thing for me, Augustine, that Zesco did not understand is the philosophy for Coach Numba Mumamba. I feel Coach Numba was okay. Though some fans, yes, were saying, no, the team is big. What do you mean the team is big? Coach Numba was with a big team like Zanaco. Are you telling me Zanaco is a small team?
Yeah.
What did he do with Zanaco? He won titles with them. He was the first Zanaco coach that helped Zanaco get to the group stages for the cup. So when you tell me he's not a big team, what do you mean? You're really being unfair. He's a team that helped Zanaco win trophies, and Zanaco is a big team. He goes to Zesco, he helped Zesco win their 9th title. If he was not a good coach, he wouldn't have helped them win their 9th title. So I think for me, really, they were really being unfair on him. It's looking at the philosophy and the strategy that he wanted to bring to Zesco United. Zesco United is used to winning trophies and also having veteran players. That's the kind of squad that Zesco United has. Even when you look at their players, mostly. Numba comes in, he starts to fuse in the young players and then slowly phasing out the old players. They do not understand that philosophy. To them, it becomes a problem. And obviously, fans keep pushing, and at the end of the day, he's pushed away. He's now gotten a job with Kawaras, because I mean, Kawaras had no option because George Wanda. Rumor had it that Chabi Chabala was to come back, but then unfortunately, we've now seen Coach Numba Mumamba come. For me, he's a good coach. He's one of the best coaches that we have in the land, and obviously he is going to do something for Kawaras. For now, what he's been told is to help Kawaras survive relegation at the moment, because obviously they've seen that the team is not doing very well, and also Kawaras is not doing very well, even financially. They are financially limping at the moment. That's why they can't even get quality players to help them perform for the team. They are relying on the likes of Jimmy Beleking, Lovu, they have Aka. For me, but then they should just...
Which is another problem at Kawaras. They have been changing coaches, but they haven't invested anything in the squad.
And that's why, because already it shows you that Balaba and Inaka, they should just be bringing them in the second half. For me, I feel let's have youthful players that are able to deliver at Kawaras. But so long as, even though we change the chairman, Dingo is now no longer the chairman, we now have Mutalenga, and we'll keep changing the chairman and we'll keep changing executive members. So long as we are not ready to, the team is not ready to invest much in players and in the squad. Trust me, we'll keep changing, because we can even bring in Mourinho, still more won't. I'm telling you, Kawaras won't collect maximum points. So really, Amos, all in all, the league, for me, the league has been good, not so bad. But also, one important aspect that I would love to touch is the issue of discipline. We've seen so much in discipline in as far as the Super League is concerned. I think the association has been tough on most of the teams that have been misbehaving. We saw Green Buffalo punished, we saw Power Dynamos, the league leaders, being punished. Changa Rangers being punished. Yes, so I think the issue of discipline they should really work on it. Teams should be able to abide and adhere to the rules and laws of the game. We've seen certain indiscipline stuff. How do you go and kick a microphone in the pitch? If you don't use the microphone in church when you go, they give you to give a testimony. You're scared on the field of play. You want to kick the microphone. Go and testify in church.
If Mangwaratso was here, you're supposed to account for that.
Yes, so really, for that's not that's uncalled for. And we saw also Augustine. Certain players getting into boxing. We know the players are talking about getting into boxing. That's uncalled for, and that should not be allowed. The issue also of firing and the hiring coaches, I think it should come to an end. It's too much. We are one of the leagues in the world, if I can say so, that fires and hires coaches within a short period of time. The same Green Eagles, Amos and Augustine, that was appreciating Avi Chiangi for doing extremely well, because Avi Chiangi even brought continental football to Choma for the very first time. Today he has now become a bad coach. That's how football is. That's how football can be at times. They won't appreciate you even when you did good things for you. Now they've brought in Alex, he's doing well for the team. Robert Tembok brings the team from National League to Premier League. He's pushed away, and we've seen also now Tenant Chilumba now has vacated the house, Nkwazi property, left the property, and now he wants to go. It's believed that he's likely to join a Copper Belt side. Really, from a head coach to go and be a third assistant, really just for the love of money and whatnot. So really, I think come next season, Amos, I think firing and hiring of coaches should be done in a better way, and not where we see within a month, within a week, this coach has gone and all that. I think that should not be tolerated.
Due to time, let's just take a quick look at the table, and then we wind up on the show. We'll just take a look at it so that the viewers should be able to see where the national division table is. So that's how the national division 1 table looks like. We've got Mufulira Wanderers and Trident, Kafue Eagles, Kongola Blades, Young Green Buffaloes, Mutondo Stars, Jumulo. So that's how the table looks like, and due to time we won't touch much on that. But Augustine, the EPL and other leagues are back, and today we've got games at 14:30. We've got Wolverhampton hosting Manchester United at 17 hours. We've got AFC Bournemouth facing Crystal Palace, and at 17 again Fulham Southampton, Manchester City versus Everton, Newcastle United versus Leeds. And to close the day today at 19:30, we've got Brighton and Hove Albion hosting the mighty Arsenal. Just your quick final closing remarks, Julius.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me on the show this morning. I must it's been great coming back home for me. Coming to home, I'm standing in the house, whether I'm not seeing for months. I can always just say, Augustine, I'm coming.
I'm around.
So yeah. something interesting is that I actually made a debut appearance on this show earlier this year in January, just a few days after New Year.
Oh yeah.
I'm making another appearance, the last appearance on the show
on the
last day of the year. We're about to get into the new year, so I think really, I really appreciate even for considering me to be part and parcel of a team. I'm really grateful and looking forward to having a great time together even next year. Something that we also haven't quickly talked about, Amos, I think that should be my closing. Enoch Mwepu has now been appointed as the under-9 coach for Brighton. I shared the story with one of the colleagues. Bola News did publish that story even before the Brighton did publish on their website. I shared it with one of the colleagues, and the colleague, I won't mention his name, but this colleague was asking me how true is this. So now when Brighton published this story, I was like, I also asked him, how true is it? But anyway, congratulations to our very own Enoch Mwepu. Arsenal is doing very well. We're hoping that this season,
it can be a different story.
There's been a drought in as far as bringing a trophy at the Emirates Stadium is concerned. So to all Arsenal fans, we're hoping that you'll be able to laugh at the end and be happy at the end of the season. But otherwise, once again, thank you very much for having me and looking forward to coming to Augustine.
I think in my closing remarks, firstly, I would like to congratulate my workmate, Fred Musukwa, on his wedding. Congratulations, Fred Musukwa and Mrs. Musukwa. I think it's only God's grace and mercy upon them. I think I wish them a happy marriage. Fred Musukwa, Mr. and Mrs. Musukwa, and a big thanks to the entire production team. You have been very, very good the entire year for us, and it hasn't been easy. We've had ups and downs, but we've kept moving, and big thanks to Madam Victoria Chilua and Pastor Moses for the platform that they've given us. We always appreciate that, and a big thanks to you, the viewers out there. We are nothing without you. I think we always appreciate your effort and your support that you've shown us, the advice that you give us. We'll keep learning and getting better. We wish each and every one of you a happy new year.
And just as we close the show, trials are still ongoing at Kablonga Boys Secondary School. Camnet Stars is hosting trials because they want to enforce their squad, and there's a slot that players have to be sent some to Brazil, and looking forward to seeing a lot of players going there for trials, and hopefully you'll be picked, because we just want to make a very, very strong team as in Camnet Stars. On behalf of the whole entire production team, I've been your host, Amos, aka Amore, and not forgetting one Isaac upstairs, who has been doing the marvelous directing. And like Augustine said earlier, we want to thank Pastors Moses and Victoria Chilua for giving us this platform to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports, and not forgetting you, the fans, who've made it possible for us to be here up to now. Like as we go into 2023, we'll make sure to work on the show on one or two things so that we improve on certain areas. For now, it's bye-bye. See you next year.